G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm of course Acafelus, and today we're going to be talking about something really important here in POC in Legends Runeterra. Now this recent expansion has been drawing a lot of plaudits, and it's obviously pretty good, but I would like to focus on something that is probably overlooked. So before we enter this video, first things first, I want to say, this is not a criticism of any kind onto Riot employees or anyone working at Riot. This is just an opinion, however harsh it may be. Now I would like to set the precedent for this video, and to do so we have to go back at least 2 or 3 months. I made a video a couple months ago saying the #1 biggest problem in POC was the Relic and Fragment acquisition system. Now what is this issue, some of you might ask? Well, it's really simple. A lot of people here are not able to get the fragments or relics that they need because of a borderline ridiculous amount of duplication of those relics as well as fragments. And what I mean by duplication of relics and fragments is that whenever you open reliquaries or vaults, more often than not you're gonna get the same fragments that you already have or the same relics that you already have. Now keeping that in mind, let's fast forward to today. This problem has still not been resolved, and quite frankly it is not a priority on Riot's list. This is not a statement that I'm simply coming up with, this was actually stated by one of the devs.
So we've actually talked about duplicate protection a lot on the team. It's something that has trouble getting prioritized in various ways because there's a lot of other really impactful improvements we want to expand. And one of the things is, like, when we release new champions and new relics and new content for players, which players also really want, that releases some of the pressure on duplicate protection because now you can get more champions and so on. So it's something we've been talked about. It's not on the roadmap right now, but it's something that we feel a lot, by the way.
They are taking a look at it, but this is not a priority. What does that tell you? Something for you to ponder. Now keeping that in mind, let's go to the gist of the problem. The first issue is still the fragment acquisition system. Fragments are, as we all know, important to POC to ensure that we're able to unlock new champions and start them up. The problem here is that more often than not, we're getting the same fragments over and over and over again. Now you'll probably say this is not a problem for those of you with big rosters. That's untrue. Some of us do have big rosters, yes. For example, like me, I have 39 champions unlocked. But take a look at the amount of champions that I still don't have at 3 stars. I think there's about 16 here that I don't have at 3 stars. Now that in itself is a problem on its own, not being able to get enough fragments to do so, but I want you to take a look at the champions that I still have locked. Yes, I only have 2 champions locked, which are Nar and Nami. I only unlocked Yumi yesterday, but still, the fact that I'm still not able to unlock these champions is pretty telling. Now I will not sit here and lie to you. I haven't really had the opportunity to play this game as frequently as I have in the past. But the fact that I'm still not able to get some of these champions is pretty ridiculous. Now before some people misconstrue what I said, I'm not complaining or whining about not being able to get the champions I need. All I'm saying is that the process should not be this difficult. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you take a look at the base game, outside of POC, the regular game, you can get the champions that you don't have unlocked really easily. And how is this possible, you might ask? Duplicate protection. We've been asking for duplicate protection for a really long time, and I'm really disappointed that it's still not implemented. Now in my opinion, this is not exactly a really big ask as well, because if you can't implement this in the base game, I cannot fathom why is this not in POC. It doesn't make sense to me. It does not make any sense to me at all. If such a feature can be implemented in the base game, why is it so difficult to carry this over into POC? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about and need extra clarification, the duplicate protection system in the base game prevents you from getting duplicate champions. For example, if I have 3 copies of Vayne unlocked in the base game, I will not be able to get 3 copies of Vayne until I've unlocked the other champions. That means once I've gotten all the other champions in the base game, the possibility of getting duplicates will be there, but until that happens, I will not be able to get duplicates of the same card. Now before we go on further, I just want to say I'm not trying to be contrarian to be popular, I'm not trying to criticize anyone. I'm just trying to discuss issues that I think are really important to the longevity of this game that Riot might have overlooked or quite simply chose to ignore. Now on the topic of longevity of the game, I find it really ironic and really weird that they claim to be interested in lengthening the longevity of the game by implementing new content, by adding new champions, which is all well and fine, but not doing anything to fix the existing problem of not being able to get old champions. I find it really ironic, I genuinely do. Even more so with the implementation of beta monthly challenges. The fact that you are encouraged to have a lot of champions to play the mode, but for some reason you still lock off a lot of champions is really crazy in my opinion.
If you already have a lot of 2 and 1 star champions, get some to 3 stars. There are some really hard encounters in here. You're gonna need those nuclear weapons to like solve those big problems.
Now onto a subtopic within this fragment acquisition system, it's the wild fragments itself. The conversion ratio of the wild fragments is still the same and it is quite frankly ridiculous. For every 10 duplicate champion fragments we get significantly less in return. I believe the number is 4. I didn't really take note, but I believe it's 4. Now once again I ask, what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of making fragments so difficult to get? Yes, these are wild fragments or joker fragments, which might sound justified to make it a little less, but half in my opinion is extremely crazy. Take a look at the amount of champions that we have in this game. 41 champions in total. Assuming that you're trying to unlock or star up a bulk of it by using wild fragments, which I know is not possible because you're probably going to get quite a few, but assuming that you need to star up at least half. I have approximately half of the champions here that aren't at 3 stars, so essentially I need to use wild fragments for those. How long is that going to take? One of you left me a really interesting comment in the previous video, mathematics calculating the amount of fragments you will actually need. Now I'm going to copy that comment, I'm going to put it in the comment section down below, as well as put it in the video, just to drive home my point. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is why I say duplicate protection is absolutely important in this game. That's the only way of making sure that we're able to star up the champions a little bit more efficiently. There's nothing worse than waiting like about 1 month to finally star up one single champion if you're completely relying on using wild fragments. And since we're on the topic of wild fragments, we should talk about relics as well. Now I've been pretty lucky in the relic department, I'm not gonna lie. I only have 2 rare relics locked and they are probably not that important in my opinion. However, there's a lot of you out there who are struggling to get the relics you need. One of my friends from Taiwan can't seem to get a single gatebreaker at all. He's been playing this game for quite some time. Until today, he has not gotten a single curator's gatebreaker. I also want to take this opportunity to give you the experience that I had. When Camtech Duplicator was first released several months ago, I was struggling to get this relic. I waited like approximately 2-3 months. I was lucky enough a couple weeks ago to get it from one of the silver orbs. The silver reliquaries, I should say. Now I do realize that we can get it from the past, but the fact that you release a new relic into the game and make it so difficult to obtain is crazy. The worst part of all this, there's no justification for it. At the very least in terms of champions, there is the option to purchase the champions with coins, Riot coins, which of course cost money. Now here Riot could argue that they're trying to make money off this mode, which is why they're gatekeeping some of the champions. But the fact that you cannot purchase any relics with coins in POC, yet you're still blocking out some of these new relics is crazy in my opinion. It doesn't make sense. Absolutely 0 sense. Now I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've gotten crazy amount of duplicates, Riggo's Lantern being one of them. There was a month where I got consecutive back-to-back Riggo's Lantern from the silver reliquaries for some reason. This brings me back to duplicate protection again. Duplicate protection is implemented in the regular game mode. Why is it so difficult to put it into POC as well as in the relic acquisition system? I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yet again, I don't understand it and it doesn't make sense. Now keeping that in mind, there is another minor thing I want to talk about. The fact that we cannot get Guild Force through reliquaries. Now recently a Riot dev shared on Reddit that there are a couple of relics that are not obtainable through reliquaries. A majority of them are the champion campaign relics, for example Archangel's Staff and I believe the Crown Guard Inheritance, but Guild Force is also on that list. Now Guild Force is not a champion campaign relic. This was an exclusive relic obtained in the past through one of the events here in the game. Now the dev confirmed that this is no longer obtainable in reliquaries. My question is, why is it so? A lot of new players are coming to this game, they want to experience POC for what it is, and I feel it's really sad that they cannot even have a chance of getting the Guild Force. Now yet again I use the same logic here. There is no option to purchase anything in the relic system. There is no option to purchase any relics here in POC. Why is there such an obsession to gatekeep from newer players? Once again, people are not asking for everything to be unlocked on day 1. All people want is a fair chance of getting the items and champions that they need. I'm also just gonna say this up front. I find it extremely ironic that Riot says that they care about players' experience first, but yet there's so much red tape going on that quite frankly it's not new player friendly at all.
I want to tell you that our philosophy is we look at what players care about.
We look at what players care about. We look at what players care about.
Now having said all that, I hope you guys can see the problems. These problems in POC are really frustrating, especially if you're new to the game. Yes, it doesn't affect me too much because I am fairly advanced in terms of my account progression, but I'm genuinely concerned about newer players coming into POC for the first time. Now once again, I want to make this clear. I am not trying to be a contrarian just for the sake of being different. I'm also not trying to criticize the game or anybody working at Riot Development. All I'm trying to do is highlight these issues. Issues that are important to the community as well as newer players coming into POC for the first time. We all love this game, we all want this game to succeed, and to ensure that the longevity of this game is maintained, Riot needs to make sure that people are invested in playing it. I'm gonna be totally honest here. All this difficulty unlocking champions as well as fragments, as well as combined with the fact of my in real life job, it's getting really difficult to be interested in this game continuously, and quite frankly that interest is dwindling day by day. Now don't be alarmed, I'm not at a stage where I'm feeling burnt out yet, but I just want to highlight this danger here in POC. Riot runs the risk of making things too difficult to get that it's starting to alienate or drive off newer players from even trying out this mode. Now before we end this video, again I want to reiterate. I am not saying everything should be unlocked from day one. All I'm saying that is it shouldn't be this difficult to get relics or fragments that we actually need. At the end of the day, I'm sure everyone agrees that this is just a mode where we play for fun. This is not competitive, this is not PvP. Getting a certain type of relic will not give you an advantage over another player. Now we can still go on in depth into several other things here in this game, but we're not gonna do that today. That's gonna be for another video. But yeah, I've said my piece and my thoughts, so we are gonna end the video here. If you guys enjoyed this thought-provoking discussion, please consider leaving a like as well as subscribing to the channel for more Legends of Runeterra and Path of Champions content just like this one. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching as well as joining me. This is Keflo signing off. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.